Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more geography now, and this time we are hitting up Qitzikwaka, uh, Q country. Which, hold on, where are we in the alphabet? He forgot this Q country. Um, Trying to do this with a straight face. I mean, I wanted to try and trick people. Before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I'd love to join the Discord and follow me over at Twitch. And please do go check out the gaming channel here on YouTube. With all that said, let's go ahead and dive into this country. 13. We're back to the 13-minute length for this country. Hopefully, that's enough time to properly talk about this country's culture and its people.
You know, most countries in the world were established by a people group or conquest from another people group. But then every so often you get a country that was established by a group of people that got lost in the desert and then were promised land from an African prince if they could survive in a haunted cave that nobody wanted. Welcome to the world's only accidental underground country by Buddhist monks from Russia.
Hold on. Did he write a script for this, or is he going off the top of his head?
It's time to learn geography now!
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. At the time of filming this episode, as you know, the coronavirus pandemic isolation period is going on, so I'm gonna have to film all my episodes in my office until further notice. Oh, what the? Art is here.
Hey man, you want some coffee?
What kind of coffee are you drinking from?
From a Geography Now mug. I'm drinking from that.
Well,
it looks so good in this Geography Now shirt.
If you'd like to be like Art and get a Geography Now shirt, you could do so at where?
GeographyNow.com.
Anyway, oftentimes
I don't have that kind of
Qitzikwaka is
muscle control.
overlooked by most people from the maps because half the time you technically can't see it. Much of it is literally underground. When you live in the desert and need to flourish, sometimes you gotta be a little creative. And when it comes to these people, the very essence of their existence depends solely on creativity. Let's jump to the map now, shall we? Qitzikwaka gets its name from the words
Qitzikwaka.
Qitzi, which means poison, and Kwaka, which means cave. Why would a country be called Poison Cave? It's a very long story. We'll discuss it later in this episode, but basically it kind of had to do with a dare.
That makes no sense. I am more confused than ever.
Great, we're on the right track. First of all, the country is landlocked, located in the Sahara close to the tri-point of Niger, Chad, and Libya. The nation, which is shaped like a submarine, is about 4,500 square miles or 12,000 square kilometers in size, making it just bigger than the country of Qatar. Within the country, there are only two main settlement towns, the capital Gur, which is situated entirely within the Mogadin crater. From there, the only other inhabited town is Kirkra, right next to the Kirkra Reservoir. The country is served by the one and only international airport with only a single runway, Irksha International. The airport only services 3 international flights to Niamey, N'Djamena, and Alista. Getting around in Qitzikwaka might seem daunting as there doesn't seem to be any roadways connecting the towns and airport. However, the interesting thing is that the country has invested in one of Africa's largest feats of engineering and has developed the Q1 and Q2 highways that connect the 3 points of habitation. You can't see them though because the roadways are almost entirely underground and have pit
Metro 2033, baby.
stops along the way. These were constructed to avoid the harsh
Isn't that in America? This one?
desert temperatures and conditions above ground and allow optimal transport. Otherwise, the only other means of transport abroad would be the Trans-Saharan Highway that passes through from Libya and continues on to Agadez, Niger. Now here's the fascinating thing though. Above ground, Qitzikwaka only has 2 main settlements, the ones we talked about, but below ground, the country has more subterranean villages with a higher population than those above. In fact, the capital Gur has more subterranean dwellings than above it. Kukra is actually the 3rd largest town with only about 15,000 people. Along the Q2 underground highway, you find the 2nd largest village, Barsha, which has about 34,000 people, making it the world's largest subterranean town. Yeah, these people do not want to get sunburned. I mean, in the summer months, surface temperatures can reach above 120 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius. More people actually prefer to live underground than above ground as the temperature is easier to regulate. This is why many of the subterranean houses have pipe vents installed. Many homes and businesses look kind of rugged and rustic with these raggedy
I don't know why, but I found this one isn't as believable as the first April Fool's video. I can't remember the name of that country, but Terra, that's what it was called. That one was more believable. This one's just goofy.
stone walls, while others are more modern and developed with shopping centers and tiled walkways. Now that I think about it, I think I did a video about this topic. Anyway, some top notable spots in case if you'd like to visit include the Temple of Alten, the Thorn Huts of Shokshin, the abandoned fortress of Enasha, the Pillars of Kevha, and the Ula Underground Oasis. Yeah, so as you can kind of tell by now, this country kind of likes to keep things literally on the down low. But above ground, lots of things are happening too. Which brings us to Qitzikwaka historically was actually a land that the native Maba tribe in the area actually kind of feared, because they believed that all the land around the Mokadinza crater was cursed and filled with ghosts and overall death. Turns out it was actually just a natural gas leak. See, the Mokadinza crater is actually situated on the Wuta Natural Gas Cavern, a deposit in the middle of the Sahara. This cavern has flammable floor pockets that leak and can explode if exposed to fire. Foolish travelers in the past would often camp by not knowing about the hazard, and when it came time to get warm, it was kind of like,
man, what a long journey. I guess I need to camp here for the night. And what a better way to camp than setting up a nice hot campfire. I'll just light up this tinder and... Okay then. Wow, and there's scorpions everywhere. This place is terrible.
yeah, and that's kind of why nobody really wanted to live here for the longest time. Anyway, the country is entirely situated within the Saharan desert with arid dunes and rocky outcroppings that extend to the surface. The nation's tallest point being Padersha Peak, right on the Mokadinza crater. The country also has no rivers, and the largest body of water, of course, being the Kirkra Reservoir in the Kirkra crater. This sits on the Kirkra Aquifer, a deep underground hydration deposit that fortunately feeds salty brackish water into the crater naturally. Since the Kirkra Reservoir is the only natural water source for them, they've invested heavily in desalination plants that pretty much hydrate the entire country. And after the people came in and settled the area, they actually found a way to harness the natural gas deposits, and that's where they get a lot of their money from. Today, Qitzikwaka is the smallest African country dependent on the petroleum industry. It makes about 2/3 of their exports, and over half of their GDP is dependent on natural gas. Most of the petroleum industry is state-run, and almost all the profits are redirected into the nation's fund reservoir, which in return also distributes into infrastructure development.
We should hang out sometime.
This is basically how they were able to expand their tunnel system to accommodate over half of the entire population. And with the arid hot landscape, there are also
I just realized what's really throwing me off about it is he's not doing. I feel like they could have really fucked with people. Like they fucked. I don't know. I still don't know how I fell for Bandia Terra, but like, like for this video, what they should do is they should. I mean, they've got the cutscene coming up for the demographics, but like they should do it for, like, just have this be essentially as normal as possible to really fuck with people. But I guess also as an educational resource, they do kind of have to. They probably do have an ethical responsibility to make the April Fool's videos as kind of obviously false information as possible. So, but also I think it would still be really, really fucking funny if they did one that was super highly believable.
also some species you can find skimpering around in the desert. And with that, here's Gary Harlow to explain.
You almost got it.
Let's do it! As a country, locked away in the middle of the Sahara, you would
Yeah,
think
in the
that it would
Sahara.
be impossible for anything to survive. But think twice, because here's some of the most
thinking
fascinating
twice.
species that can be found specifically and only in this country. Such
Only.
as the blue-spotted
Nar.
giraffe, the Saharan obese
Nar.
baboon, the reservoir clawfish,
Reservoir.
the desert spiked tortoise, the
Come on, man. Come on, man.
the three-legged shrew, flying lavender geckos, and the national animal, the highly venomous and fatal cave whip scorpion. And that little feisty guy is beloved by all for good reason, but we'll discuss that later. And that's all for me.
It's a neat transition, though.
Gary. And speaking of animals, food, which is sometimes made of animals. Sorry, it's true. Now, of course, with almost no above-ground arable land, most food from Qitzikwaka is actually imported from their neighbors. As a desert country, you would assume, yeah, they probably grow, you know, typical desert crops like dates, and they do to some extent. However, they are also well known for their underground temperate produce. They use the cave systems to their advantage, and with the more cooler, humid climate, they've been able to harvest various species of moss and fungi, which are commonly used in Qitzikwak cuisine, such as mas ofose, moss pearl cake, mushroom hummus, and the national dish, moss mushroom stew. So yeah, caves, moss, deserts, and scorpions. Things are getting kind of interesting, aren't they? Well, you haven't seen anything yet, because once you meet the people of this country, you're gonna have your minds blown. In 3, 2. Now, Qitzikwaka is probably Africa's strangest demographic anomaly because of 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the only African country that was colonized by Asians. And number 2, it technically wasn't really colonized because nobody really wanted it in the beginning. At this point, you're probably more confused than ever.
Duh, you bet I am!
Perfect, that's great. Here's the graph. First of all, the country has about 101,000 people and is the African country with the highest percentage of Buddhists per capita. The nation is just over half native Kitsimaba at about 52%, followed by the second largest group, the Qitzikalmik, at around 30%. From there, about 14% are Afro-Slav, whom are mostly Russian-descended Europeans that have either lived for generations upon the 18th century or migrated from Russia in the second Slavic wave of the 1970s. From there, the remaining 4% are other
Slavic wave 19s. What caused that Slavic wave, Barbie?
groups, mostly Berber or Nilo-Saharan African groups that have moved in from surrounding countries. They use the East African shilling as their currency, they use the type Q plug outlet, and they drive on the left side of the road but with left-hand steering wheels as well. So at this point, you're...
I'm not even as... Do I do the bit even in this fucking fake-ass country? God damn it. It's the wrong side of the road, man.
probably going...
Wait, Asians, Buddhists, Africa? What the f?
Calm down, you ignorant squizzle-twit. I'll explain. Now, as we already explained in the Russia and Russian Republics Explained videos, the Republic of Kalmykia, found in Russia, is the largest Buddhist community in Europe. Back in the 1600s, the Oryat Mongol people migrated all the way from what is now eastern China into the Kalmykia Republic, which is now in Russia. And if you thought that migration was pretty far, oh no, the Kalmyks definitely were not done migrating. If you remember back in the Djibouti episode, we mentioned that there was a very brief settlement from Russian Cossacks in Djibouti called Sagalo. Now this settlement didn't really last very long, and the French came in and they kind of deported all the Russians back to Russia. However, amidst that group were some Kalmyk Buddhist monks. And as the French came in, the Kalmyks were like, oh, we're not sticking around, we gotta run into the desert. Long story short, these Buddhist monks got lost in the Sahara and met a prince of the Maba tribe named Inasha. Basically, it kind of went down like this. Hey, Saharan prince guy, we've been traveling. We need a place to stay. Can we live in your lands?
There's a haunted cave that keeps killing people over there with explosions, and it has lots of scorpions. Nobody wants that land. If you can survive there, you can have it. And I promise my people will support you 100%.
Whoa, okay, score. Great deal. Well, for one, it's pretty hot. I guess we should get out of the sun. You guys got any shovels? And that's kind of how it started. The Kalmyks discovered which areas had gas fumes to avoid, and after digging extensively, they found a way to swell up the aquifer to fill in the reservoir. Over the next few decades, word spread back to the motherland, a lot more Kalmyks came in, and that's how the two main groups, the Kitsimaba and Qitzikalmyk, kind of worked together to create this nation. They were brought together through the stress of survival. The people of this country are called Qitzikwaks, and that is also the name of the national language, which is basically kind of like a fusion between the native Maba language and Kalmyk. It's written in both the Latin and the Cyrillic alphabet, kind of like an homage to the Russian roots of the Kalmyk people. As a country with strong ties to Kalmykia, of course, Buddhism was brought in, and today about a third of the country adhere to the religion. Many of the temples and shrines are found, especially underground, and they're pretty well maintained. Today you can see a lot of traditions like women that wear the Qitzikwak Kalmyk dress. Also, camel racing and desert chess are very famous pastimes as well. Well, we kind of...
What's the difference between regular chess and desert chess, Barbie?
Pretty much already explained the
What?
brief history of the country, so let's just kind of jump into the famous people, shall we? Some famous notable people from Qitzikwaka might include Gustav Reshku, Anna Elehu, Brennan Pafshko, Gordon Seychelles, Duncan Welsh, Aaron Gwefshin, Jantin Noesher, Carlos Geushwai, Fernando Rivrashli, Adam Kefshosh, Tim Geshai, Samri Aoishi, and Laith Aksheva. So there you go. Asian Buddhist desert tunnel.
I wonder if those are just stock photos or if like, wait, hold on. No, those aren't stock photos because they don't have any fucking, hold on, Barbie. Did he pay? Or, because these, he had to have paid for these to use these, I think. Oh my god.
Kefshosh, Tim.
They don't have any, when you use photos from the internet, I think a lot of the time, especially since this is a business here, you have to like get like a license, a use license to use photos. And so he would have. I'm sure he probably does like some subscription to some fucking one of those websites to where so that he doesn't have to do have the stock, like the Shutterstock or whatever. I wonder if would it be so. I'm just kind of picturing him paying individually for these photos to get the use license on them.
Tim Geshai, Samri Aoishi, and Laith Aksheva. So there you go. Asian Buddhist desert tunnel people that work with natives.
friend zone,
and
Barbie.
they made a country, and there's lots of natural gas, and they use that money to make their country. That's basically Qitzikwaka. You get the deal. A lot of their development, though, depended on their relations to the outside world, though. And of course, that means we gotta finish off this episode with the... When you're a small desert nation with a petroleum industry in the middle of nowhere and everybody around you is watching, you kind of have to play your cards right with diplomacy. First of all, when it comes to friends, Qitzikwaka is of course close to their immediate neighbors, Niger, Chad, and Libya. These countries provide the most trade, and Libya kind of acts as their closest gateway to Europe through the Mediterranean. Recent conflict years in Libya, though, have been rough in the import sector, so now they depend more on Niger's connections through Algeria to circumnavigate northwards. Canada and Russia are key players that invested in the subterranean construction projects, as Russia is world-renowned for having some of the world's deepest and fortified underground tunnel systems, and Montreal, Quebec has the world's largest underground commercial network. Qitzikwaka took notes from contractors that flew in to help with projects, and today the countries have close ties, and of course much of the population of Qitzikwaka has Russian heritage. Mongolia and Thailand and Japan are key players in Buddhist tourism, as all three countries are Buddhist powerhouses. Mongols connect well too, as the Oryat Kalmyk population are essentially their cousins. When it comes to their best friends, however, the Qitzikwaks will always go back to the motherland, the Kalmykia Republic of Russia. The two are closely connected and have historical ties. Qitzikwaks often go back to visit their ancestral homeland, and the Kalmyks often visit to see how their distant African cousins are doing. In the end, they will always be there for each other. Ah, what great friends. In conclusion, Qitzikwaka is a nation that thrives off... you guys know that this is an April Fool's video by now. Come on, I've been doing this for years. This has happened...
We got you guys!
April Fools!
Yeah, that's right. If you got tricked, you have to buy a Geography Now shirt.
At where?
GeographyNow.com.
April Fools! April Fools.
April Fools.
Hope you guys had a great April Fools. Stay tuned.
Have I missed other ones since Bandia Terra? So I don't know if Bandia Terra is on this playlist, but this one is on the fucking A to Z Geography Now playlist, which is the one I've been using to do this in alphabetical order. Have I missed some of these April Fools ones? I kind of wanna do this every April 1st. So if they have made another one post Qitzikwaka, won't see that one probably until next April 1st if I remember to do it. But yeah, this one wasn't as believable as Bandia Terra. I think it's twofold as to why this one didn't work as well. One, Bandia Terra was also, I think, at that time that we were also in the B countries when he did Bandia Terra. Obviously, as of right now, we are no longer in the Qs. when he released this video. And it also doesn't match the runtime of how his recent videos have been. So there's a couple glaring signs here as to that just make it obviously fake. I think I want him to really just go super hard in on one of these fake countries and just make it as believable as possible. Um, Obviously that's gonna be very fucking hard, and obviously you want to throw in some fucking funny ass memes into it, but like I really do want him to try and make a one that will really trick people. I still don't know how I fell for Bandiatera because you look back in hindsight, you're like it's fucking obvious, but this one was especially super obvious for reasons I don't think I need to explain. Um, but yeah, this was a fun video. I hope you guys enjoyed as well. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys. Peace.